The days on Cronus 7 were no longer the same. The planet was changing. Where snow once fell endlessly, sunlight now peeked through the clouds. The wind still blew cold, but it no longer stung like before. The ice beneath the surface was softening, melting slowly, releasing ancient air that hadn't been breathed in centuries. Inside Station Delta 9, the crew watched the monitors in silence. The energy readings were steady. The deep tremors had stopped. The cold storm core and the first flame had merged into a quiet pulse, neither cold nor hot, but balanced. The planet was healing. And so was Varea. She no longer needed a separate room. Her icy aura had faded. Her skin still sparkled like frost, but warmth now ran beneath its small golden veins that glowed gently when she was calm. She walked the halls beside Cal freely. People no longer feared her. Some even smiled when she passed. In just a few weeks, everything had changed, but Varea knew something was coming. Something she couldn't avoid. One morning, she stood alone at the top of the observation deck. The stars were fading as Cronus 7's strange sunrise colored the sky. The horizon glowed with soft amber light, a new sight on this frozen world. Cal walked up behind her. "You're up early," he said. Handing her a cup of warm tea, she accepted it with a quiet nod. "I had a dream," she said. "Of my people and my sister?" Cal looked at her. "Do you think she's still out there?" "I don't know," she replied softly. "But I think they'll come again." He sat beside her. "The iceberg?" "Yes," she said. "When they realize the planet is changing, they'll come. Maybe to claim it, maybe to stop it, but I must be ready." Cal stayed silent for a moment. Then he said, "You don't have to face them alone." Varea turned to him. "I already made you?" "Risk too much. I made the choice," he said simply. "And I'd make it again." She smiled faintly, then looked back at the sunrise. "There's something else. When I connected with the flame, I saw the future of this planet. It can be a home again." "But not for me," Cal frowned. "What do you mean?" "I'm a bridge," she explained. "I carry both the cold and the warmth now. I'm not meant to stay in one place. I must go. To bring this balance somewhere else." "You're leaving?" he asked, voice low. She nodded slowly. "Not because I want to, but because I must." That evening, the station gathered to celebrate what they called the first official recording of a sunrise on Cronus 7. People brought food, music, and even a small fire outside the base. It was cold, but for the first time, not unbearable. Varea stood quietly at the edge of the group. She watched the humans laugh and share stories. A little girl handed her a flower made of crystal. "This is for you," the child said. "You made the snow stop." Varea took the gift gently. "Thank you." Later, Cal found her sitting by herself, looking at the sky. He sat next to her. "I'll miss you." She looked at him, her eyes glowing softly. "I'll miss you too." They sat in silence. He didn't ask her to stay. She didn't ask him to follow. Some things didn't need words. The next morning, she was gone. Her room was empty, the white cloak folded neatly on the bed. But on the table, she had left something for Cal. It was the snow globe he had once given her, but now the snowflakes inside glowed with a soft light, and the tiny house had changed. Instead of ice, it now stood on green grass with a little golden sun above it. There was a note under it, written in her careful hand. "You showed me warmth, even when I could only give cold. You melted the silence inside me. Now I will carry that warmth into the stars." "Varea," Cal held the snow globe in his hands, eyes fixed on the gentle swirling flakes. He didn't cry. He just smiled. Weeks passed. The base grew stronger. Solar panels were installed as the planet's sky cleared. The soil beneath the melting ice showed signs it could one day grow plants. Cronus 7 was no longer just a research site. It was becoming something else, something alive. People began calling it the Turning World. And in every report, every log, there was a note about the one who helped turn it. Varea. The iceberg who chose peace. Cal became the station's lead engineer. He was quieter now, but wiser. He often sat by the observatory window, watching the sky. Sometimes he would whisper her name. And sometimes, when the wind blew just right, he could almost feel a soft warmth in the cold air. Then, one day, a message came. A faint signal from deep space, carried by old satellite waves. Cal was in the control room when it arrived. He opened it slowly. On the screen, there was no voice. Only an image. It was Varaya. Her face looked calm, her eyes bright. Behind her was a different world, half covered in snow, half covered in green. And there, standing beside her, was another iceberg, smaller, with gentle eyes. Her sister. Cal smiled. There were no words in the message. No need. The image faded, but the warmth remained. Cronus 7 would always be cold. But thanks to one brave alien and one kind human, the frost had been softened by fire, and somewhere in the galaxy, a once lost woman now carried that warmth into places still frozen in fear, lighting the path for others who needed to thaw. The planet Cronus 7 was nothing but a frozen wasteland. Covered in snowstorms and ice mountains, it was one of the coldest planets explored by humans. A remote outpost named Station Delta 9 had been built there for research. The scientists studied ice minerals and the planet's unique energy pulses. Only a few engineers and guards stayed there, and most of them were tired of the cold. One evening, as the winds howled outside and the sky turned a deep shade of blue, a strange alert rang through the outpost. A signal was coming from beyond. The ice region energy signature no one had seen before. Is it another storm? Someone asked. No, replied the lead technician. It's alive. Soon a figure appeared in the distance, walking slowly through the snow. The guards grabbed their rifles, unsure if it was dangerous. The figure got closer. It was a woman, tall, graceful, and completely untouched by the cold. Her skin shimmered like ice. Her hair was white as snow, flowing behind her. Her eyes were pale blue, glowing softly. She's not human, whispered one of the scientists. As she approached the gate, the guard shouted, Stop! Identify yourself. She didn't answer. She looked around calmly, her expression unreadable. One guard, nervous, stepped forward and raised his hand. We said stop. She lifted her hand slightly, not in threat, but even that tiny movement caused frost to spread across the air. The guard screamed as ice climbed up his arm in seconds. He dropped to the ground, frozen. The outpost panicked. Emergency lights came on. More guards rushed to the scene. But no one dared get too close. Inside the control room, a young human engineer named Cal was watching everything through the glass. Unlike the others, he didn't feel fear. He felt curiosity. Something about her didn't seem evil. She had a strange sadness in her eyes, like she didn't want to hurt anyone. She's not attacking us, Cal said. She could have frozen all of us by now. She's dangerous, said the commander. She touches, they freeze. That's reason enough. Maybe not for her, Cal said quietly. Later that night, after they managed to pull the frozen guard into medical care, the alien woman was allowed inside under heavy watch. They locked her in a containment room made of reinforced glass and heat shields. She said nothing. She simply sat in the corner, her hands on her lap. Cal was assigned to check the systems in that section. While working near her cell, he saw her, sitting quietly, her expression calm but distant. You understand me? He asked through the speaker. Her eyes moved to him. Then she nodded slowly. He smiled. I'm Cal. I fix things around here. She didn't reply. They said you're dangerous, he continued. But I think you're scared too. Her voice finally came soft and distant, like a wind whispering through snow. I'm not here to harm. I had nowhere else to go. Cal paused. Then why did you freeze that guard? I cannot control my aura, she replied. My body is made of ice energy. It reacts to fear and movement. He tilted his head. So, it's automatic? Yes, most creatures freeze when near me. You do not? Cal blinked. Why me? I don't know, she said quietly. But it is strange. Cal left that night with more questions than answers. He returned the next day with a small datapad and a warm drink. He sat outside her cell and started talking, even though she didn't always answer. He told her about Earth, about blue oceans and green forests. He told her about music and laughter and summer heat. Days passed. She began replying with short phrases. She told him her name was Varea. She came from a race called the Iceborne Empresses, a species created to survive and rule in frozen worlds. Most of her people were now gone, lost in a war long ago. She had refused to join in the destruction and was punished, sent drifting in space. Her ship had crashed on Kron as -7. The more Cal learned, the more he realized how lonely she was. Trapped in her own body, unable to touch or connect with anyone. Always surrounded by fear. One day, while fixing the control panel near her room, Cal slipped on a wet floor and hit his elbow. The pain made him hiss. Varea stood up inside the cell, her eyes fixed on him. "Are you harmed?" she asked. "I'll live," he said, with a half-dashed smile. Then something unexpected happened. She reached her hand forward, toward the glass. He did the same. Their fingers touched glass, separating them, but suddenly a strange pulse passed through. The glass began to melt, but not from heat. It was as if the ice around her had shifted, changing its nature. They pulled back quickly. No alarm went off, no freezing shock, no energy spike. Cal stared at his hand. It was completely fine. Varea whispered, "You are the first." "The first what?" Cal asked. "The first to not freeze." That night, the scientists reviewed the data. Cal's body emitted a mild heat signature that countered the energy in Varea's cells. It was rare. Some genetic pattern made him uniquely resistant. The commander wanted to send Varea away. "Too risky," he said, but the lead scientist disagreed. "She hasn't harmed anyone else. And if Cal can communicate with her, maybe we learn something never discovered before." So they allowed the meetings to continue. Day by day, Varea became more open. Her words grew clearer, her tone warmer. And Cal, always kind and patient, continued bringing her stories and puzzles. He even brought a small cup of warm tea into her room once, just to see. "Try holding it," he said. She looked uncertain but reached out. The cup didn't freeze. The tea steamed softly. She looked at him, eyes wide. "It doesn't turn to ice." "Maybe because you're starting to thaw?" he said with a small laugh. She tilted her head. "What does that mean?" "It means maybe your heart isn't so cold after all." And for the first time, Varea smiled. End of part 1. The days on Cronus 7 were long and silent, but something had changed inside Station Delta 9. The mood was lighter. Not because the cold had gone away, but because Varea had started to speak. She was still kept in her special room, but the thick glass panel between her and the humans was now thinner. The heating system in her section had been adjusted to balance with her energy. The temperature was cold but stable. Cal, the young engineer, visited her every day. He brought simple things, books, puzzle boards, small music devices. Slowly, she had learned to enjoy some of them. Varea listened to Earth music with quiet curiosity. Her favorite sound was the violin. She said it reminded her of wind passing through hollow ice caves on her home planet. Cal sat on the other side of the glass, sipping coffee. "What was your home like?" Varea looked up. "It was always cold, but we were never alone. The snow never scared us. We danced with frost. We built cities from ice crystals that shone like stars." "Sounds beautiful," Cal said. "It was," she said softly. "Until the war came." She fell silent for a while. Cal didn't push her. He waited, and finally she spoke again. "My people were asked to destroy. We were told we had to freeze the warm worlds before they could burn ours." I refused. "I wanted peace, so they cast me out." Cal blinked. "You were punished." "For not wanting war?" Varea nodded. "They called me a traitor to my kind. They feared I would weaken our name. So I was sealed in a cryopod and left drifting. And that pod landed here," Cal whispered. Double quote. "Yes, this world. But in its silence I found something I never had: freedom. And now, you're not alone anymore," Cal added with a small smile. Varea didn't reply, but her eyes softened. Later that week, something strange happened. The ground began to tremble under the outpost. At first, people thought it was just a small icequake, normal for Cronus 7, but then the energy readings from beneath the surface began to spike. Cal was called to the control room. There's something big buried in the glacier below us, said the lead scientist. It's sending out pulses like a heartbeat. The commander frowned. Alien technology. Possibly. We've never seen this kind of pattern. Cal looked at the scanner screen. He felt uneasy. It wasn't just a machine, it felt like something old and angry. Varela was moved to a safer room, still within the base. When she heard about the pulse, she stood still for a long moment. This planet, she said slowly, holds something dangerous. What do you mean? Cal asked. She looked at him with eyes that held memories from long ago. The weapon we were told to activate, the one I refused to awaken. I think it's buried here. The next day the tremors grew stronger. Machines stopped working. The snow outside melted in strange shapes, forming deep cracks in the ice. From those cracks, cold steam rose colder than even Varela's body. The scientists were scared. We need to evacuate. One shouted, No! Varela said firmly for the first time. If you leave it now, it will rise. It will destroy every living thing nearby. It does not care what species you are. Cal stood beside her. Then how do we stop it? She hesitated. We must calm it, seal its core, the commander laughed coldly. Seal an ancient alien weapon? With what? Duct tape? No, she said calmly. With balance. That's how I was? Trained, the core feeds on conflict and fear. It grows stronger when it senses panic and heat. But how does one bring balance to a machine? The commander asked. Varela turned to Cal. You did it to me. Varela explained more about the Cold Storm core, the ancient weapon hidden below the surface. It was made to draw in heat, absorb energy, and release deathly frost in return. It was supposed to be used in wars to freeze entire cities in seconds, but when she had been trained to control it, she felt its true nature. It did not want to destroy, it simply followed what it sensed. The stronger the emotions, the more it responded. I refused to use it, she said. But now it has awakened on its own. Cal looked around. Then what do we do? You must come with me, she said. Together, maybe we can calm it again. The commander hesitated. This is too dangerous, you'll both die. Oh, we all will if we do nothing, Cal said, after a long pause. Permission was granted. Cal and Varela would go, the two of them walked out into the frozen wild wearing cold suits and tracking gear. A path opened beneath the ice guided by the pulses of the weapon. The cold got worse the deeper they went, but Varela walked without fear. They reached a cavern where blue crystals hung from the ceiling. At the center there was a platform made of ancient alien stone. It pulsed with light. That's it, she said, the Cold Storm core. It was beautiful and terrifying. It looked like a frozen heart beating slowly. Every beat sent out a wave of frost so sharp it cracked the stone around it. Cal felt a chill deep in his bones. But Varela took his hand. You are the key, she said. I can channel through your touch. Your presence balances my energy. Then let's do it, he said. They walked onto the platform together. Varela placed her hands on the core. Her skin shimmered like silver frost. Cal placed his hands over hers. The moment he did, the core responded, its pulsing slowed. Varela closed her eyes and began whispering in her own language, old words of harmony and silence. Cal didn't understand the words, but he understood the feeling. A sudden wave of heat rushed through him, not from the planet, but from Varela. For the first time, she wasn't just cold. Her body was shifting, changing. Her ice was softening, not melting, but blending. She was balancing herself. With him, the core pulsed once more and then went silent. The ice stopped cracking. The frost stopped rising. The weapon had gone still, back at the station. People watched the screen as the energy signals dropped. They did it, someone said in awe. When Cal and Varela returned, they were quiet. She looked tired, but peaceful. Her hands were no longer covered in frost. Her steps were lighter. She looked at Cal and said, For the first time, I feel warm. After returning from the frozen chamber deep under Cronus 7, Cal and Varela became the center of attention in Station Delta-9. The strange tremors had stopped. The violent energy pulses from beneath the ice were gone. Everyone at the station could finally breathe easily again. The temperature had stabilized. Even the heavy snow outside had started falling more gently, as if the planet itself had calmed, but the biggest change wasn't the weather. It was Varea. Before, she had always walked alone, surrounded by an invisible wall of cold. Her presence made people uncomfortable. They feared her touch, her silence, her power. Now something had shifted. She no longer wore her sadness like armor. Her steps were still quiet, but there was a softness in her eyes. Her icy skin didn't freeze the air anymore, not when Cal was near. The scientists were curious, but they didn't dare get too close. Only Cal remained by her side, talking to her, laughing with her, bringing her small earth items. She had even begun to wear a soft white cloak over her shoulders, not for warmth, but as a symbol. A symbol that she wanted to connect, to belong. One afternoon, Cal brought her a simple gift, a tiny snow globe. Inside it was a small scene of a cottage in the woods, with plastic snowflakes that swirled when shaken. Varea tilted her head as she held it gently. "What is this?" she asked. "It's a snow globe," Cal smiled. "It's just for fun. You shake it and snow falls inside." She shook it slowly. Her pale lips curved into a smile. "It holds its own winter, yet feels peaceful," Cal nodded. "That does what it's meant to show, a quiet kind of beauty." Varea looked at him. "You see beauty in things others ignore." He chuckled. "That's because most people forget to look deeper." There was silence between them for a moment. Then Varea said something that surprised him. "When I was young, I used to make snow shapes with my sister. She was the only one who didn't fear my power." "You had a sister?" "Yes," she said softly. "She was younger, gentle, we would laugh together. But when the war began, she was taken, trained for combat." Cal could hear the pain in her voice. "I'm sorry. I left her behind when I refused the war. I wonder ... if she still lives. Or if she became like the others, cold in heart ... not just in body." Cal gently touched her hand. "Maybe she's out there, hoping you're alive too." Varea's hand did not freeze his. In fact, a soft warmth passed between them like a gentle wave. Later that evening, the commander called a private meeting. Cal, Varea, and a few top scientists gathered in the control room. "There's something new," the lead scientist began. "We've picked up a signal." Everyone turned to the screen. A strange, rhythmic signal played on repeat, sharp, cold, and coded. "It's not random," the scientist explained. "It's a transmission from orbit." Cal frowned. "Another ship?" Varea stepped forward. Her face turned pale more than usual. "That is a beacon ... from my people." The room went silent. "Are they coming here?" the commander asked. "Yes," she said. "They must have detected the cold storm core when it awakened. They will come ... it, and to punish me." "Punish?" Cal asked, shocked. "But you stopped the core." "You saved everyone." Varea shook her head. "To them, I betrayed our purpose. I disobeyed the ancient command. They see mercy as weakness." The commander stood up. "Then we need to prepare defenses." "No," Varea said calmly. "Your weapons will not stop them. Iceburn soldiers are powerful. Even one can freeze an entire facility in minutes." The room was filled with tension. Everyone looked at Cal. "So, what do we do?" he asked. Varea turned to him. "I must face them." "Alone." "No," Cal said quickly, "not alone." That night, the stars above Cronus 7 shimmered strangely. A soft light appeared in the sky. A ship was descending. Sleek, white, and silent like a falling snowflake. It landed far from the station but sent a powerful message through the CUM system. "Varea of the Iceburn, you are ordered to return to face judgment. The Coldstorm Core is not yours to silence." Varea stood near the window, watching the light in the sky. "They came fast," she whispered. Cal stood beside her. "You don't have to go." "I do," she replied. "If I run again, they'll see this planet as weak. They'll come back, again and again." "Then I'm going with you." She turned to him. "You will not survive their cold." "I've survived yours," he said simply. "And I believe that matters." The next morning, they left the outpost together, walking across the snowy plains toward the waiting ship. The Iceburn craft stood like a frozen tower. Its surface covered in glowing lines. At the base of the ship stood three tall figures, iceborne warriors. Their eyes were pale, their bodies shining with layers of frost armor. They did not smile. They did not speak with kindness. Vareya, one of them said, you were given exile. You broke the silence. You will now be judged. I did not. Destroy, she replied. I healed. I saved. You silenced the weapon. That is destruction of purpose. No, Vareya said calmly. That is creation of peace. They raised their hands. Frost began to swirl in the air. Cal stepped in front of her. One of the warriors paused. A human? He is mine, Vareya said, stepping beside Cal. Impossible. He should be frozen. He balances my energy. He is not weak. He is not afraid. One of the warriors stepped forward, reaching out to touch Cal, but when his icy hand brushed Cal's arm, something strange happened. The warrior stumbled back, his hand steamed as if burned. He cannot be touched, another hissed. Vareya stood tall. You see, he is the key. The old ways no longer work. Balance is the future, not fear. The iceborne hesitated. Their eyes flicked to one another. Finally, the lead warrior lowered his hand. We will leave. But we will watch, and if you fail again, there will be no second chance. With that, the warriors turned and entered their ship. It lifted into the sky silently, disappearing into the clouds. Vareya stood quietly for a long moment. Cal reached for her hand. It's over, he said. For now, she replied. But I think ... They listened. Just a little, Cal smiled. It's a start. She turned to him, eyes soft. You melted the cold that lived inside me for years. That is something no iceborne could do, he chuckled. Maybe Earth boys are good for something after all. Vareya laughed, a quiet, musical sound that no one had ever heard before. The iceborne ship disappeared into the sky, leaving behind a heavy silence. Snowflakes began to fall again, gentle and slow. Cal and Vareya stood together on the icy plain, the wind brushing past their faces. It was quiet, but not cold between them. They returned to Station Delta 9 as something more than before, not just allies, not just survivors. There was a bond now, one that had grown stronger with every step they had taken together. Inside the base, the crew watched them with new eyes. The alien woman who once froze with her touch was now seen walking beside a human man, calm and peaceful. People didn't flinch anymore when they saw her. Some even nodded at her with respect. Vareya still didn't talk much to others, but with Cal, she spoke freely. One evening, Cal brought her to the observatory room. The ceiling was clear glass, showing the stars. He had brought a blanket and 2 chairs. This is what Earth people do when they want to relax, he said. Sit under the stars and think. Vareya sat beside him, her cloak wrapped around her. It is strange. I spent years in deep space, but never really looked at the stars. You were asleep, Cal said softly. Maybe I was asleep inside too. She replied. They watched the stars for a long while, and then Vareya said, There is still something under this planet. I can feel it. Cal turned to her. You mean the cold storm core? No, something else. Something older. He frowned. Older than the weapon? Yes. The core was built around it ... like armor. But the real power is still sleeping. The next day, strange readings returned on the base scanners. A series of deep quakes shook the ground. Ice pillars collapsed outside and the temperature dropped fast. We need to find the source, the lead scientist said. This isn't normal. Vareya stood near the control table. Her eyes narrowed. The real heart of this planet is waking up. The commander looked serious. You're saying this isn't over? No, she replied. What we silenced before was only the shield. The real energy ... is alive. The team prepared a small exploration group. Cal insisted on going with Vareya again. He didn't want her to face anything alone. They traveled back to the frozen cavern, but this time, Vareya led them deeper. She found a hidden passage, one only her senses could detect. As they moved through the dark ice tunnel, the air changed. It became still, thick, and heavy. Finally, they reached a chamber unlike anything they had seen before. A giant crystal heart floated in the center. It was not like the cold storm core. This one pulsed slowly with red and blue light like fire. Trapped inside ice, what ... Is that? Cal whispered. Varea's face grew pale. The first flame. Cal blinked. Flame? On this frozen world? She nodded. Long ago, when my people were created, they were born from both fire and frost. But the fire was buried, locked away. Only the frost was allowed to grow. Cal stared at the glowing heart. So this is the part they wanted to forget? Yes, Varea said. Because it gave us emotion, passion. It made us ... unstable. He stepped closer, then paused. Is it dangerous? Varea didn't answer right away. She walked up to the heart. It didn't harm her. In fact, a soft warmth spread through her skin. It's calling to me, she whispered. It wants to rise. Should we stop it? Cal asked. Varea turned to him. I don't know. Maybe it should rise. Before he could respond, the heart pulsed brightly. The ice cracked. The entire cavern shook. Back at the station, alarms blared. Seismic spike detected. Energy surge from the lower levels? The commander tried to call Cal, but no signal came through. Something was blocking the comms. We need to send backup, he ordered. Inside the heart chamber, frost began melting. Water ran down the walls. The temperature rose. Varea stood firm, her hands now glowing softly, not with cold, but with warmth. I feel it, she said. This is what was missing. This is what they feared. Emotion. Connection. Cal grabbed her hand. If it's rising, what happens to the planet? It will change. The frost will remain, but the balance will shift. Heat will return, life could grow. And the station? It might not survive the change unless we guide the energy carefully. Cal looked around. Then let's guide it. They both placed their hands on the crystal heart. A wave of energy burst through the room, but instead of destroying, it spread like light in the dark. The icy walls softened. The red and blue pulses began to move together, not apart. Outside, the sky changed. The constant snow paused, clouds opened. For the first time, sunlight touched Cronus 7. The crew at the base ran outside, confused. The blizzard had stopped. The wind had gone quiet. The temperature was rising, slowly, but it was happening. Inside the chamber, Varea fell to her knees. The heart had stopped pulsing. Cal held her. Are you okay? She nodded weakly. It took a part of me, but gave something back. They walked out together. When they returned to the station, the crew stared in disbelief. The ice on Varea's skin had changed. It now shimmered with soft golden veins, tiny signs of warmth hidden inside. You did this? The commander asked. She did, Cal replied. She brought balance. That evening, the station gathered for a rare moment of peace. No alarms, no frost threats, no warships. Varea stood quietly at the edge of the observatory. Cal joined her. The planet will change now, she said. Over time, it will take years, but life may return. You changed it, he replied. I couldn't have done it without you. Cal smiled. So what happens now? She looked up at the stars. Now, ... I decide what I want to become, not what I was made to be. And what do you want to be? She turned to him. Not just an iceberg, not just a weapon. I want to be something real. He reached for her hand, and this time she didn't hesitate. You already are, he whispered.